The season is almost over, so if you haven't tagged out, hopefully you are getting closer and closer to your target buck. But if your season has dragged on from one empty sit to another with the squirrels and woodpeckers making up the bulk of the movement around you, you need to figure out what the problem is. Now you could sit there and just try to come up with all the excuses you can to why your season sucks. The deer there just aren't any deer around, and the neighbors just shoot everything. The government needs to change the regulations, blah blah blah. But I don't think that is a very good strategy. I like to think that there is always something that I could do to turn my season around, whether that's something I could do now or something that I could do to ensure that my next season is nowhere near as terrible as my last one. So in this video, we're going to go over 3 ways that you could take control of this season and the next few seasons to come. But before we go over these tips, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And the first tip is something that you could do this season, something that allows you to really turn your luck around before the season ends and gives you some vital information for the next hunting season, and that is to go scouting after the first good snow. One of the most vital pieces of information to have is knowing where deer like to bed and how they are traveling across your property. And a few days after a good snow allows you to very clearly see how deer like to travel across your property, how they leave those bedding areas, how they travel to those food sources, those watering holes, and any other place they might congregate on your property. But instead of just walking those trails and taking a mental note of where they're leading, get out your phone and start using your mapping software of choice, whether that's OnX or HuntStand or whatever other apps there are out there. That way, instead of just knowing that they're there, you can zoom out and see the whole pattern, get the whole picture of your property. And with this zoomed out view, this bird's eye view of your property with all these trails identified on this map, you can start to identify some travel hubs that you may not have known existed at all, or you can see that this part of your property that on paper should just be a great place to hunt is a total ghost town. This visualization allows you to really put that puzzle together. It allows you to see where you might want to start hunting this season, or it allows you to start planning out your future habitat projects or future stand placements so you can start guiding deer where you want them to go, or you can start maybe that area of the property that you thought would be a great place to hunt has no deer whatsoever. Maybe you can start planning a habitat project to try to get deer more attracted to that area. But one of the worst things, or really demoralizing things it could allow you to see, is that maybe you just have a lot fewer deer using your property than you really thought. Which brings us to tip number 2, and that is, if you didn't see as much deer activity after that first scouting trip after a good snow, or maybe you didn't see a lot of the rut activity that you hoped you would, or maybe just the deer disappear after the early portion of the season, it's time to start planning out and putting in the habitat features that will attract and hold deer during that time of the year. Most people don't even bat an eye at how much time and energy they put into their food plots. They spend a lot of time researching the right food plot species. They get their soil tests and then spend a lot of money trying to correct that soil to get the best growth possible so they can attract and feed as many deer as possible. But that is not what is attracting deer to your property during the rut. Yes, of course, they do still need to eat, and yes, they will stop in there and visit your food plot, but what they're really after is secure cover in order to dodge other hunters and to chase does. So if you didn't see the rut activity that you hoped you would, whether you didn't see many bucks chasing does, or there wasn't as many scrapes and rubs as you hoped there would be, there are 2 things that you could do to try to increase this activity. First, you need to make sure that you have the right age structure on your property for this activity to occur. Older bucks tend to make more rubs and scrapes and tend to do a lot more of that chasing. Yes, of course, young bucks still do that. However, when I say older, I don't just mean like mature, those bucks that are older than 4 years old. When I say older, I mean bucks that are older than just a year and a half. Now, I know we don't always have control over what bucks get shot, but if you have the ability to, start limiting the number of young bucks getting shot. Start trying to push that age up a little bit more so a lot more of that rutting activity actually happens. And I know we can't really prevent the deer getting shot by our neighbors unless we're forming some kind of deer cooperative, which is a great idea. They're going to shoot what they want to shoot and you're going to shoot what you want to shoot. But one of the best and easiest ways to start preventing your neighbors from shooting all the young deer is to start creating that secure cover that those deer are seeking to dodge those bullets. If you create that secure cover vacuum, those deer will be protected, and then all you have to do is just start managing your own trigger finger. So pick some spots that would be advantageous for you to hunt and then start opening up the canopy. And don't just focus on the overstory, also look at the understory as well. And then start treating the stumps of trees that provide no benefit to deer like hickories, and then also if they are growing in a spot that they shouldn't be, like sycamores up on a dry ridge top or rocky hillside. Also get rid of those cedars. I know that everybody loves to have cedars, but in this area you want to get rid of them and start putting that structure on the ground. Start learning some of your tree species because it's going to help you decide what you should keep and what you should get rid of, what's good for hinging, what should be stump treated, whatever. One of the best books is this book by Craig Harper, because in the back of it, it's got this handy little chart that will give you the mast value, the hinge suitability, the browse value. That way you can just look at it and be like, okay, I need to keep all the elms and the dogwoods, and I need to keep the hackberries, let them stump sprout, but then I need to treat all of the black locusts or anything like that. But the bottom line is just get some cover on your property that's going to draw in those bucks when they start hearing all those gunshots or they're starting to chase does, because that in turn will allow you to see more of that rut activity, and you will start seeing a lot more deer while you're hunting. And the third way to make sure that you never have another bad sit is to start promoting different oak species. White oaks tend to get all the love. They make bigger acorns that supposedly taste better. They grow into bigger, more majestic looking trees. And even when they're dead, they tend to make more beautiful furniture. But white oaks aren't going to be what attracts deer to your property during the later portion of the season, or even what helps make sure that deer have plenty of food to go around until spring greenup. That is where your red oak acorns really shine. White oak acorns spoil relatively quickly once they hit the ground. There's about a month-and-a-half window where deer are absolutely going crazy for them, but that's the early season. Once you get past October or the middle part of November, they are either all spoiled, they're starting to sprout, or deer have just eaten them already. Red oak acorns take longer to sprout, so they're going to be around a lot longer. Deer are going to start scratching through all the leaf litter looking for them around the middle half of November, and they will keep eating them as long as they can. Now, obviously that's not all they eat, but the high fat content of red oak acorns, or just acorns in general, means that they're going to have plenty of energy to stay warm and maybe even put back on some weight, or at least maintain their weight to come out of the winter as healthy as they can. So this time of year, start looking for those red oaks that have a lot of torn up ground underneath them, and then start releasing them from the competition. Open up the canopy around them, give them space to grow, give them plenty of sunlight, and then they will start producing a lot more acorns for you in the next few years. That gives you a great late season place to hunt. Now, not all red oaks produce a lot of acorns every year, or maybe even produce acorns at all, so you're going to have to start identifying those low producers and get rid of those so you can start promoting more of your high producers. But just ensuring that you would diversify your property, have plenty of red oaks, have white oaks, have plenty of different areas that deer can find cover, and then you could start holding deer a lot longer through all different portions of the year so they don't wander over to your neighbor's place looking for greener pastures where they might get shot. So that was 3 ways that you could start seeing a lot more rut activity where you hunt, and start making sure that you see a lot of action during your sits. If you've got any habitat management projects planned that are going to start allowing you to hoard more of the deer on your property, let us know those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.